Good evening, everyone. Apologies, we are slightly late. We can read the punishment in the comments. We're just having a chat. Nice little chat about what's going to happen this evening. But yeah, we are back here at the Absolute Women's Football Podcast. And this evening, our aim, as always, is to bring you light comic relief and chaos amongst the bitterness that has unfortunately taken hold this week on the interwebs, which I'm sure you are all aware of. But never fear, Tame Chaos is here and ready and raring to go. And very excitingly, for the first time in forever, Chloe Bear, you're back on the show. How are you?
Hi, I am back. Yeah, I'm good. I'm very excited to be back. I'm happy to be back. It's been far too long and I've had a very exciting week with games, which is always good. But yeah, I'm great. Very happy to be here.
Can't wait to discuss all things City Arsenal with you. And of course, Everton with you. Oh, it's been so long. We need a massive catch up. And of course, the pod wouldn't be complete without our resident metalhead. He was very excited about going to Villa Park for the first time. Paul, how are you, especially with that news today?
I am bouncing. It is very rare you will get a Coventry City fan say they would sell a kidney to get inside Villa Park, but I think I might in July. For those who are wondering, basically Black Sabbath are playing their final ever gig at Villa Park on July the 5th. And they also casually have the big four of thrash supporting them. So Metallica, Anthrax, Slayer, which you have to say like that because jokes, and a ridiculous list of bands that most of you may not have heard of, but I'm very excited about. So yeah. I'm bouncing about that. And like Freya said, it did take the edge off what has been a bit of a week in women's football. Like normally we'll go fun topical tags, but this time round you couldn't be any clearer than that.
Yeah, needed to be done, didn't it? It definitely needed to be done. But yeah, thank you so much for everyone in the chat. I mean, Matthew was here first this evening, 8:10. Fantastic stuff, Matthew. Good evening to you. Good evening to Emma, of course. Even though, can we all just say, they were threatening, as a punishment, to make me... Hang on. I'll make Freya rewatch the Kirsty Hansen Almost School. Wearing a United shirt. I mean, that's not fair. Guys, I thought you liked us. I thought you loved us. However, change the tune. Evening, you wonderful team. We see everything. Good evening to Graham as well. Can't wait. I say we can't wait. We're going to talk about that Charlton decision. Good evening to Tony. Evening to our lovely Sam who's in the chat. Good evening to Emily. And just everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We've got so much to get through. We're probably going to talk really fast because we don't want to miss anything out, of course. Right then, first things first, because it'd be weird to do them second. This evening, right now, it is Chelsea versus West Ham in the Subway Cup. They were leading 2-0. I believe it is still 2-0. Let's just have a quick double check. Yes, I believe it is. It's currently in the 83rd minute. So unless West Ham can do something magical, it looks like Chelsea will be going through to the final of the League Cup. Goals by Johanna Ritten-Kaneryd in the 20th minute and Sjoeke Nusken in the 29th minute as well for you. So there we go. The second semi-final is on tomorrow night, and that's between Arsenal versus Man City, with the final on the 15th of March. And I know some people are already getting their tickets. So very exciting indeed. Okay, so we're going to start off with latest news, of course. Now, there are two trials going on at the moment in women's football. One is getting a lot of media coverage, one not so much. So we're going to talk about the other one because we need to bring it into the forefront. Now, this one is, of course, we all remember Luis Rubiales. His trial has officially started in Spain with a possible 2 years and 6 months prison time if he is found guilty of sexual assault and coercion. Now, it's not just him, remember, though. There are other people in this as well. So former director of the Spanish national team, Albert Luque, former women's head coach, Jorge Vilda, and ex-marketing director, Ruben Rivera, are also accused as well and could face 1 year and 6 months each for coercion. Okay, so in this scandal that we all know about and also trying to cover it up. Okay, so that's where this really comes into it. The Spanish men's coach, however, De La Fuente, has denied any involvement, interestingly. He says he wasn't there in any meetings, despite witnesses saying he was in his office at the time. Now, people taking the stand, Jenny Hermoso has already taken to the stand, given her evidence. And again, the powerful statement of, it stained one of the happiest days in my life, and continued to say she felt disrespected as a woman. The trial will run until the 19th of February, so still a long time to go yet, where other witnesses, including Jenny's mother, who, if we remember, Rubiales tried to get a false video of support from him by saying, her career is going to be threatened, that kind of thing. And also Jenny's teammates is rumoured, maybe Alexia Putellas might come up to the stand, Irina Paredes, and also Misa Rodriguez, I think I saw on one list as well. Rubiales has also called upon his 2 daughters to be witnesses, but has recently asked for them to be removed as well from the witness list. So that is going on, finally. We hope justice does get done. And what we will say about the other trial going on, the Sam Kerr trial, because that's an ongoing investigation, we're not going to comment. What we will say is, please don't believe everything you see or read. Make sure you go out and do your own research. Only trust the trusted publications. And because of what this is and how many viewpoints around, how many voices there have been on the internet this past week, just please be careful. And ultimately, the jury has got to decide what the verdict is there. It's not for us. So that's all we're going to say. But that is a 5-day trial, which should be coming to an end very, very soon. So, unfortunately, more toxicity this week. Did we all see the Millie Bright statement? Calling out entitled fan behaviour after she was asked for a photo, signatures, and then was told that she was, swear warning, shit. So here's your friendly reminder. When you go to a football game, you go to watch the football. Anything else you might have the opportunity to do is purely luck, it's purely chance, and ultimately it's a privilege in order to get those moments. Please don't go expecting to get a football shirt, a ball, selfie, their gloves, kidneys. Like, please don't expect that, because at the end of the day, like Millie said, they're human. They're footballers. They're human first, a footballer second. I also unfortunately heard some people say they were in hospitality, and some of the players, as part of that package, went up afterwards to see the fans, get photos, etc. And they were then complaining about the attitude of some of the players. Now, yes, if someone is your favourite player and they're not 100%, can we please put into perspective, if they've lost, they're not exactly going to be 100% happy, are they? Contractually, they might be obliged to be there, and just take a step back from anything you envisage and go, okay, they're human. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. Rather than taking to social media to try and start something against particular players, which unfortunately I have also seen about a different player this week, which I won't name, I won't go into, but it's just having respect, isn't it, Chloe, for the players, for the team, and ultimately, when that statement came out, what were you thinking?
I was just thinking, like, why would that happen? Why would anyone? It's just, I think now within women's football, there's a lot of entitlement. Like, you are paying for the meet and greet, and it's not just about football. Like, I know it's a City game, about 5-10 minutes before the end, there was loads of people getting out of their seats and going to the front so that they could make sure they get the best spots for photos. Yeah. But City don't do that anymore. City have this autograph alley where it's random people selected who can go like into, I'm not really sure what it is or where it is, but it's called autograph alley, and selected people get obviously selected and they get to meet some of the players afterwards, which is great. But that means that they stop all this barriers, signs, and Everton have done it as well. Like they've said a couple of times at the announcements, please bear in mind that the players won't be doing signings or photos anymore to protect themselves and their well-beings because their schedule is obviously pretty hectic as well. And obviously, but I also don't understand why you'd say it in such loud proximity, because I know Millie Bright's family go to a lot of games, like her mum, her dad, her sister, her nephews, like any one of them could have heard it as well and had something to say about it. And I just think that there's so much entitlement now that, and unpopular opinion, I don't know, I think that they should just start a movement where they scrap the signings, scrap the photos altogether. Like if people can't behave and they don't know how to behave in those types of situations, they should just say we're going to stop this now immediately. We're not doing any photos, we're not doing any signings. As soon as the 90-minute plus whistle goes, we're just going, because they shouldn't subject themselves to this. They shouldn't subject themselves to so much abuse, because it's like Millie said in her statement that she can take it, but other players, particularly some of the youngsters in the squad, might not be able to. And I just think it's so unfortunate for her, because I only caught the second half, but during that second half, I felt she had a great game. And then the fact that there are people who are calling her out for, not taking a photo or not doing a signing, it's just poor. It shouldn't be happening. And yeah, I think that they should just start scrapping it all together, or do like what City do or Everton do and have the specialised people or specialised organisation where these certain players can. And if you've got the likes, say, like Arsenal or Chelsea, where you are going to, City, Villa, and it's a long drive back up to London or whatever. Like I know when Tottenham went to Everton on Wednesday, they were leaving that night and they didn't leave till gone 11. So that was a 3-4 hour drive they had straight back up to London. Like that's going to be taxing on them as well. They probably just want to go,
It's all about their recovery as well, isn't it? Like they've got strict time constraints to be able to make sure they're all right. This is probably the best one. Thank you, Matthew, for that. It's a football game, not Comic-Con. Fans need to realise these players are humans too and have lives. Yes, Matthew. Perfect analogy. And as Sean says, it's a game of football. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you win or lose. As long as you're enjoying the things you love, that's all that matters. Yes, 100% yes. And at the end of the day, it's a privilege to get to go to a game and to get to watch and to watch your favorite players do their favorite thing for 90 plus minutes. It's fantastic. But yeah, people, we know people will just complain about anything, but it was just awful. Matthew also says, just in case I forget to come back to later, I was at Villa Park on Sunday and I thought the stewards were poor. They tried to stop Basil from singing and banging his drum. So the no drum thing, that's a Villa Park thing, because even Villa aren't allowed their drum in. So that's been banned. So we had a drummer at Bescott. We still have a drum on league games and away games, things like that. But yeah, we're not allowed one at Villa Park. I don't know why, but we're not allowed it. It's really sad. So it's not just it's a Chelsea thing, Matthew. It's a everyone kind of thing. It's a everyone no drum rule, unfortunately. Yeah, Paul, have you got any thoughts on the Millie Bright statement?
I think that the reaction to it, because it was weird, because you had it split right down the middle, because you had people who obviously have reacted like you and Chloe have both reacted, which is, and everyone in the chat has reacted, which is treat people like human beings. And then you have people going, they're professional footballers. I think the issue for me with the statement in question wasn't that someone was telling Millie Bright she was shit, because again, professional football. I would imagine she's heard far worse than that, and I would imagine that most players have heard far worse than that.
Yeah.
The issue was that it's people who've gone up to her, like you say, expecting her time and her to be, Millie Bright England captain, not Millie Bright person, and who've gone up to her because of the celebrity, and then gone, oh, she's fucking shit. Like, you would not go up to a band if you were at a meet and greet at a band, you wouldn't go up to a band and do the whole autograph thing backstage, and then on the way out the door go, didn't like the concert really, to be honest. It was a bit shit.
You just wouldn't, and
Like-
it's that. Like Graham said there, social media has turned a lot of people into arseholes or brought it to the surface. Yeah, because people think now, oh, I can say what I want on social media. And a lot of these people will be behind fan troll accounts that don't have a name, have got a player as a profile picture, have a player and then the club as their handle. And you just think, you're so used to saying what you want and getting away with it because you've taken your personal identity away from it. You now think it's acceptable to say those things in person.
I mean, we're talking about how women's football needs more of this, players to be criticised, and it does. It does need players to be held. Not that they aren't anyway, but like it does need players to kind of expect fans to hold them to the standard of professional footballers, in the sense of if they're bad, they'll get stick. But there is a very, very big difference between an anonymous voice in the crowd going, "Oh, you're having a shit game, Millie."
Yeah, what the hell was that?
What was that? And actually walking, actually to someone's face. I mean, I used to have problems, and I'd imagine you guys do as well, both as people who have been in media things, and having contact with managers and players, to the point where our bride knows Chloe, as well, and Mark Skinner does as well. Mark Skinner,
yeah.
she's got her connections, but I always found that conferred a responsibility upon me that if you are going to be critical, you feel bad about it a lot of the time, because like if Coventry United played crap and I was commentating about them, I kind of had to say that was a crap game. They've just lost 5-0 to Sunderland, but then I have to go down and talk to them and meet them at training, and they will know that I've said. And like she says in her statement, Millie Bright knows when she's played shit. She doesn't need some oik. She doesn't need some teen girl screeching at her, "Millie, you're shit," or some teen boy or some middle-aged man or entitled parent. Oh, she wasn't as good as I thought she'd be. Fuck off. Like,
yeah, you are not needed here. See that?
No. If you be critical during the game. If you're expecting a player's time, you treat them with respect, and if you don't treat them with respect, then you lose the right to interact.
But that's the same with writing, match reports and going to press conferences and stuff. If a team have underperformed, there's a way to approach it, isn't there? You'll never go, "Oh, you were shockingly bad. Like, tell us about it." There's a way to word it, and there's a respect that comes with it. And I just think, again, people have just lost that ability to talk to each other because so much time is spent on a screen. And I'm very aware that we're on a screen right now.
I do think, like we say with social media, I think the issue as well is that in order to get noticed on social media, and I have been guilty of this at times as well, when you're trying to get noticed, and journalists are as well, the Americans call it the hot take machine. It's like, right, I've got to come up with something that gets clicks. And if I say I can, if I turn around and say, "Oh, Chelsea had a bit of an off day, and Millie Bright made a mistake in the second half that was below her usual standard," that doesn't get clicks. If I write, "Should Millie Bright be dropped because she's crap?" that will get
and straight away, you've got everyone going, "What?" Yeah,
that gets interaction either way.
Yeah.
And like you say, there's a way to do it. There are certain England players who I am not convinced of the level of compared to others. But the way I try and talk about them is, here are the stats that show that I think that possibly how this person's being talked about are not.
Yeah.
And I think I just think there's so many people, and we see it on social media, like you say, anyway. And it's led by celebrities who think they can do it. We've experienced it. I've experienced it with certain WSO journalists thinking that they can just go, oh well, quote tweet with a vicious thing. Chloe, you had the experience last year with a certain football figure who decided to randomly, and all the hell with that. These people drive the conversation, and I think there's a situation now where a lot in women's football, men's football, wherever, a lot of people don't realise they are driving the conversation, and that's why, like you said earlier on about pick certain sources. If you're following controversial stories, that's why I know which journalists I'll pick, and what podcasts I'll listen to, and what other people who everyone goes to great. It's like, no, because I don't, I don't like the way they talk. And people probably don't like the way I talk about stuff. Let's be real, but
Oh, they've been quite honest about that, Paul. Yeah,
they have. But and I don't mind that because I put my head up to be shot at, and I'm big enough and ugly enough. And these players might say, and people say these players might put themselves up to be shot at as well. But they don't. Not if they're out playing professional sport, and they are aware of what comes with it, but they still have a right to turn around and say, yeah, hold on a minute, if you don't like me, don't come begging for a selfie.
Yeah, and it's just bizarre because can you imagine in the men's game, obviously we don't like to compare, but in this case, like, can you imagine fans begging for Saka, first name that came up, his picture, and then turn around and being like, oh, I'm going to delete it now, you crap. Like, it just wouldn't happen, would it? So I don't understand, I just don't understand the thought process. I really don't. And there's people who still, and a game we've talked about before, and Chloe said there, they'll leave their seat 15 minutes before the end of a match and will crowd the front and crowd the aisles. And not only is it a health hazard and a fire hazard, but if you've paid to be in the front row and suddenly you can't see, that's horrendous. And I've spoken before, Lindsay, who, excuse me, I do the 115 yards with. She doesn't mind me saying, I've talked before, she's currently in a wheelchair. And when we've gone into the accessible bays at various stadiums, if the bays are pitch side and people come in front 10 minutes before, you can't physically see because you can't stand up. You can't get out of your chair. And when you say to people, excuse me, this is the disabled section, can you move, please? They look at you like you're the worst person on the planet because you've ruined their chances of being at the front. And it's like, no. You still need to respect everyone in this space, regardless of how much you want your autograph or not. So yeah, it's like Emma says there, book front row seats, people keep trying to climb over you to get to the front, and it's horrendous. There's just no respect. And parents are just as bad, but that's a different podcast altogether. So yeah, if you do go to a football game, can you just be respectful? And if you see crappy behaviour, call it out. Or if you don't feel confident enough, get one of the stewards on, because most stewards are doing their best. They're doing a good job, and we can try and fight it. But yeah, there's a lot of crappy people around, unfortunately, who are giving it a bad name. So we just wanted to call it out because it's crap and it shouldn't be happening when the majority of us go there to enjoy the game, don't we? Now, the last thing we're going to talk about in this portion, Paul, I think you mentioned this in our group chat. The WSL, I think it was WSL page, they released a joint statement about the treatment of Bunny Shaw and Millie Bright's statement. And we all kind of saw the Manchester City statement and went, oh, we like that wording. That's exactly what the club should do. But then they've come under fire for releasing a joint statement. Paul, were you saying that in the chat? That you didn't like it? Yeah. Take it away, Paul. As soon as you saw that, kind of what did you think?
I mean, the first thing we've got, again, I can't get the right thing. it shouldn't even need saying, but it is. Like, racist not welcome. If you're a racist, fuck off. And
Yeah.
anyone who is found to have abused Bunny Shaw, or indeed any other player, in the way that the Man City statement talked about, which was perfect, by the way, and we criticised Man City, but we have to give huge kudos to them for that statement.
Yes.
Is not welcome in the game at all. And what was encouraging as well was that the instant assumption was made that it was probably Arsenal fans, because the Arsenal Twitter fan base, like many big club fan bases, is a bit rotten. And people like Adam, who we had a few weeks ago, are often the exception that prove the rule.
Yeah.
But it was really encouraging to see that when that statement came out, obviously there were a whole bunch of Man City fans going, scum club Arsenal, all that sort of stuff. But the number of very obvious Arsenal fan accounts that instantly, how dare they, if you are an Arsenal fan, get out of our club, I don't want to be, and I find you're gone.
Yeah.
And this is what we need. This, the women's football fan base needs to self-police.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is a bit overzealous at doing that because of various factors. Like there is a tendency, I think, because of the fan base, to see offence where there isn't, or immediately put it into certain categories. Like, if you're a man talking about women's football and you say something, then you will get accused of all sorts of different things. If you criticise certain players, there will be arguments made in bad faith about homophobia and all sorts of stuff. But
yeah,
it's great to see fans reacting so violently. And can we just say, by the way, about Bunny, the bit about that statement from Man City that really stood out was the bit that was something along the lines of, we won't be sharing this messages at the request of Bunny because she doesn't want to give these vile individuals any.
So the wording was, Bunny has decided not to share these messages publicly so as not to give the oxygen of publicity to the vile individuals who sent them. And it was
the class, the absolute class of that. Because she has a right to turn around and go, look at these scumbags.
Yeah, name and shame. Yeah.
Yeah. And, a lot of people say name and shame, but the fact that she's turned around and gone, do you know what? You're not even worth it. We'll deal with you. Yeah. You'll get a knock on the door or whatever from the authorities, but you won't even get your 5 seconds of fame. People quote tweeting you.
Yeah.
And
I loved it. And the fact that they said, the club offers their full support to Bunny for the disgusting treatment, and all of the content has been shared with the authorities, and they're doing an investigation. So hopefully whoever those people are, they never touch a football match again, because you're not who we want in our community. To those people. And Graham,
like you say, though, the point about the club the league have screwed up slightly by equating a player being called crap to the racist abuse and putting it on the same statement. And the reason for that is a player being called, players shouldn't suffer abuse from fans like that if people are demanding their time. But also, equating your shit with systematic, vicious, level of aggression that is racism, which is, one of the lowest things that a human being can do to another. Yeah. It cheapens. People will turn around and go, oh well, it's only having a go. If Bunny can't take being called crap, she shouldn't play. It's like, no, this is a completely different level of.
It's a very
They're
different
both
thing.
shit, but this is a completely different level of hatred.
Yeah.
And it needs dealing with a different way. And basically, like Matt says, we all stand with Buddy.
100%. Yeah. Matthew also says, yeah, FA needs to do more, in my opinion, to kick racism and discrimination out of the game. I don't think stadium bans go far enough. No.
But particularly with, I know we weren't going to mention the trial and we won't mention anything that's been said in court, but some of the discourse around the Sam Kerr trial and the terms with which she is being referred to as an Anglo-Indian, as someone who identifies as Anglo-Indian, is horrific. You know, it's brought all the racists out.
Yeah. And I think anything in the media just brings out the worst in people, even as we saw pregnancy announcements can just completely annihilate all of the joy in the world. And you're just like, how can you turn something lovely into something horrendous? On that note, congratulations to Zashima Musovic, of course, who has announced she is expecting. And again, a massive F off to all the people, a particular kind of person on social media who then talked about women's football players getting pregnant and all of the discourse around that. I don't know if anyone saw, but it came to a point where you think, you do know women's footballers are women, they're human. Like, this is, not a part of every woman's life, but a part of the majority. And all the not all the comments, I'll tell you about. The majority of comments were horrendous and negative. And you just think, this is a beautiful moment in someone's life. Why are you bringing this horrendous viewpoint into it? Starting talking about like contracts and is it, should it be written into the contract? Should it then be terminated? And it's just like, if you are a female in any job, there is a worry at some point if you do get pregnant. What is there in place for you? And that's a genuine worry for most people. And you just think, these are female footballers who the team does look after them, does protect them, but this, however many anonymous accounts think that their opinion should stand because they don't think it's right.
I did enjoy our very own Rosie, by the way, who responded to these comments by saying,
"Yeah,
you all kicked off with the Sam Kerr and Christian Mura's pregnancy because it was two women, and now you're kicking off and saying it was unnatural, and now you're kicking off with a heterosexual couple having a pregnancy. By the way, that baby is going to be some athlete because you've got Zachira Musovic on one side and her partner is an international ice hockey player who's 6'5" and 230 pounds. So that
so
baby,
together,
that baby is going to be,
fantastic pedigree. Let's do it. Yeah. But the main thing we will end on is huge congratulations for that announcement. Some good news in the world. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there for the moment because we could be here all night. Chloe, we're going to come to you first because, as Danny would rightly call it was a bit of a ding-dong, wasn't it, on Sunday in Manchester? And you were there, best of all. It was Man City 3, Arsenal 4. I mean, you couldn't get better than that, pretty much front row. Chloe, talk us through it. What was this game like?
I was pretty much front row. I was second row, and I was like, it was absolutely mental. It was wonderful. It was crazy. To be fair, you can see where City's budget is going because they had like a band at half time. They had a band before the game. Like, we walked in and there was a full-on band, and it's like, whoa, this is where the money's, honeys. No, City is like, if anyone ever goes to City just as like pure bands, pure vibes, just go to City because it's actually wonderful. It's full-on entertainment all around, and there's even a quiz at halftime where you can win. You can win a signed shirt and you can win tickets to Autograph Alley. So go for it. Go to City. It's great. Actually love it. But no, it was quite a fun game. There was Marina Caladente. I'll start my sentence again.
You know?
I'm just so excited. I'm just so excited to talk about C because
It was Super Mario. Yes.
I'll start that sentence again. Mariona Caladente scored after just 45 seconds, which which I kind of feel just set the absolute tone of the game with literally like 45 seconds, and it was quite a good strike as well. I mean, nobody saw it coming. Like, whoa.
Yeah, because
And
we were
then-
saying off air, weren't we? We all kind of went, have they scored already? Like, I've just sat down, I've just turned the telly on. Obviously, you were there. But yeah, just scoring so early was mad, wasn't it?
Just straight off the bat. And then Lotte Moy scored the second goal, and her celebration was Gunners in BSL, which I really liked and appreciated, because Lotte does a lot for the deaf community, as we've seen a lot on like her socials and stuff like that. So that was just a really nice personal touch for her, and like I quite enjoyed it. Well, it was just really nice to see that she's still so involved with it. And then literally just before half time, Mary Fowler scored, which then was like, but the real hit came in the second half. It was old gunner Vivian Miedemar who scored, and Beth Mead's reaction was quite funny. Really, she didn't know whether to celebrate or be disappointed. She just kind of stood, and it was quite funny to see. She didn't know whether to like go congratulate her partner or go be a bit down with the team. It was just like, this is just quite funny, but also quite tragic to watch. And then we were so focused on what just happened with Viv, nobody noticed that at the other end of the pitch, Friedemano scored. Nobody noticed. Nobody saw that goal happen. Nobody knew what done it. Arsenal was celebrating, and I had no idea why. I was like, "Why are we celebrating?" Oh yes, they've. I think they've just scored. Have they just scored? I went on Sky Sports on my phone because I was like, "Yeah, Arsenal have just scored," because I was so confused by the whole thing. And then there was a penalty call. Mary Fowler took a penalty, but the Mary Fowler taking a penalty was another reason which was quite funny to me, because there was a middle-aged man behind us who went, "Oh, Mary Fowler's taking it. Why on earth is she taking it?" And people like slagging him off almost, and then she scored it perfectly, and my dad just turned around to him and went, "Oh, come on, Martin." But it was.
We love Sassy Martin. We do.
So it was so. And then our lovely Emma, whose birthday is today. Happy birthday, Emma.
Happy birthday, Emma.
She ended up sealing the winner again, like she did in this fixture last season, where she got the winner as well, which it was a crazy game. So much happened. I don't even know if I managed to cover it all because so much went down. Like I just really enjoyed it. I just had a great time. It was a lot of fun, and obviously, who doesn't want a 7-goal thriller in their life?
Well, exactly, because it was the first game on Sunday, wasn't it? It was the early kickoff, and you just thought, like, it was packed. There was nearly 5,000 people there in attendance, and you just say, this is the game where you're gonna get a lot from it. And yeah, so it was first minute, 8th minute, 20th minute, 50th, 51st, 55th, 78, and you just like, it was completely end to end, wasn't it? And you just thought, normally with two teams, so what was it? 2-0 up. For most teams, that's like, maybe they'll get one back. Maybe. But then as soon as the goals started coming in, because Georgie's parents are here at the weekend, and I had it on quietly in the background, and even her mum was like, is that another one? Did they just do that again? So yeah, it was, I mean, especially for a neutral, turning on, watching a game of football, that's the game you wanted them to see, wasn't it? To get them involved.
And it was almost like a tennis match at one point as well, just going like your head's just going so many directions, and it's like, whoa. Whiplash at one point because I was turning my head so much, but it was just as a neutral who was there just as a neutral. I was like, oh, it's because when I went to this fixture last season, it was Steph Horton's retirement fixture last time, and it was brilliant. So like, I'm definitely going again because that was so good. This was so good because it was also a big test for who's going to get Champions League places next season.
Yes.
And both teams are gunning for it. Both teams want it, and you could see the fight was there. Even when it was still 3-3, it was like both teams were still fighting. Like, someone has to win. This game cannot finish in a draw.
Yeah.
Nobody can draw. And it felt like that with both managers as well. Like, both Renee and Gareth were coming out and shouting at the players, or the technical staff were coming out and having some involvement. It was just so crazy, and it was, I mean, it felt quite an honour to be a part of, and starting in those stands to be a part of this game. It did feel like a history-making game, but it was, I just absolutely loved it as a neutral. It was just so much fun.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can tell. Matthew's put there, Chloe, Graham, Gareth. Gareth is getting sacked. Graham tells someone else. Is getting sacked if City don't finish top 3 and fail to win a trophy. Yeah, Emma's autocorrect. It's catching. Chloe, do you think he is actually in trouble? Because people are starting to question now, aren't they? The fact it's been a while.
Yeah, I do think he's a little bit. Well, I think they're having the same problem that they had a couple of years ago, and I know we're going to come on to the Chloe Kelly stuff in a bit, but they've been losing players. Like, do you remember a couple of seasons ago where they literally lost like Kira Walsh, Lucy Bronze, Georgia Stanway, Laura Coombs? Like, they lost about 8 players and then didn't do anything to replace them.
Yes,
that's kind of this. I feel like that's the same situation this time. Like, they've lost a couple of players through injury. Obviously, they've lost Chloe Kelly, who's gone to Arsenal. They've lost Alex Greenwood through injury, and they've lost a couple more players. But he hasn't really done much to bring new signings in or new players. Like, even if it's just a couple of academy players who just kind of fill the bench, if you will. Like, he's just not. I think he's a little bit out of his depth at the minute, and I think Leigh Alexandri, although she's great, I don't think she's right for being captain. Like, I think
she's looked a bit off recently, hasn't she? I thought that against Villa, far too many errors for someone, in that commanding role. Yeah,
and I don't think I think there are other players on the pitch who could be more of a commanding role than her. Like, I mean, take Bunny Shaw, for example. Although I will say, we've all seen like Bunny's frame. It's very much like a Millie Bright frame, like the broad shoulders. Her going up against Leah Williamson was ridiculously funny to me. But it's just how tiny Leah is compared to like the strength and broad of Bunny. It was just
how strong Bunny is. Yeah,
it was really funny for literally like no reason whatsoever. But like, Bunny would be great in that leadership role. Jess Park, she's loud, she's aggressive in that kind of front. She'd be really great for that leadership role. I just think that Leigh Alexandri is a little bit out for depth with it. And I also think he's using now Kiara just to prove a point. Like, she did not look right on Sunday at all. Like, she has looked like she has lost all sense of confidence. Like, she is not playing at her best anymore. And I think that started at the derby, and I think he's just using her to prove a point. Like, we stick with Kiara, we're using her, we're doing this, but I don't think that's working anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of, you want what's best for the player, and if it was best for her to, get back on the horse, that kind of thing, see it through, get her confidence back. But if it's not working as a manager, even at half time, just like, okay, for the good of the team, for the greater good in that sense, and for her, mental health at the end of the day, just give her some space, give her some time to get back to normal. But yeah, what a ding dong, as it were. What an absolute ding dong. And we loved it. Thank you very much, Chloe. Now the next thing, as we've just been talking about the two Man City and Arsenal, Paul, you wanted to quickly mention an article that came out earlier in the week about how players are starting to control more of the narrative, aren't they? And especially with fans and social media and stuff. So yeah, do you want to talk to us a bit about why that is so important? Because no one's really picked up about it and talking about it, are they?
They're not so much, but Megan Faringa did, and I apologise, Megan, if I've pronounced your surname wrong. Hopefully I got it right. But she wrote an excellent piece in The Athletic about Chloe Kelly's move, and not kind of going over the same territory as this happened and the argument, but the way how it was probably the first major women's football transfer to play out in public. Because like in the men's game, we're used to players v manager, because we've seen it happen at Man United a whole bunch of times. We've seen it happen, every week there's so and so is rumored to be unhappy. Villa signing Rashford.
Yeah.
But
I thought you meant the women there, and I got really excited. I was like, "We've signed someone?" No, the men.
Well, Adriana Leon as well. If you want the Villa thing, Adriana Leon, and the way she and now former Canada manager Bev Priestman kind of went back and forth about her lack of game time at Man United is another.
Well, yeah.
Example, if you like. But
yeah.
the article basically discussed how it was fascinating to watch, because Chloe Kelly was very much in control of the narrative of that move. She was releasing statements skewering Man City and Gareth Taylor. And we talked about the move last week, obviously, so we don't need to go over it all again. But Megan's argument was basically this is the kind of thing that we're now seeing more and more in the women's game, where players are aware that fans are very ride or die for players. And we've seen it again. We've seen it with many players. We've seen it, and I fell foul of it this week, actually, because obviously with the Sam Kerr trial, me being a muppet that I am, initially saw it and went, if everyone is going supporting Sam Kerr and supporting her actions and going, oh, this is great, Sam, my queen, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are the same people who ripped Katie McCabe to shreds for getting sent off. Let's just say that the social media reaction to that was not positive.
Wasn't great, was it?
And I was very quickly, and sometimes politely, sometimes less politely, explained the error of my ways, and explained, and educated a lot by female football fans. So I hold my hands up and go, thank you everyone who did. The tweet went very, very quickly, because I was like, yeah, I'm not dealing with this. But it was a learning experience, to say the least. And the way that Megan talks about it as well, it's just fascinating. Like you say, people, there's not much writing in women's football around the analytical stuff of like the culture of how interactions work. Like we said, there's not much talk of the way there is a bit of a race problem in women's football fandom and the way players are talked about. Nobody's really taken that on. And I just thought Megan's article was very perceptive in the way it pointed out, hey, playing there, because women's football fandom is different and there's a lot more devotion to individual players rather than clubs.
Yeah.
Players who are aware of that and who can mobilise that, as Chloe Kelly did in her move, can have a lot of power and can cause real problems for clubs. And we've seen it, because Gareth Taylor's slightly snappy reaction in the pre-game press conference to being asked about Chloe Kelly, where he eventually reached the point of saying, listen, I've tried to be respectful, don't want to talk about it anymore. And it's like, Gareth, that could be taken as a man going, "Stop challenging me." It could be taken as, respectful, whatever.
Yeah.
Depending on what your perception is. But again, because Chloe Kelly had put the statements out, and said this is being done, certain individuals are falling out with. Everyone kind of went with the dots. Gareth Taylor's the villain in people's eyes, and
yeah, it connected the dots between the two. Yeah,
and then, and I also find it interesting that because of the way she's talked and because of the way her return to Arsenal was pitched, no one's really mentioned the bit about Chloe Kelly saying she wanted to stay in Manchester to be with her family and forcing a move to Manchester United, basically, and Man City going, not a chance. Turning down Brighton because she wanted to move to Man United, and then eventually going, oh, do you know what? I'll go 30 minutes north. That'll do.
Yeah, and ended up in Arsenal. I do have to say, all of the Arsenal announcements for her, you wouldn't think she was just going on loan, would you? They've made a very big deal of all of that social media stuff. So, I mean, hey.
I did enjoy, by the way, though, and I mentioned this, I did enjoy how Arsenal did the big deal of she's coming home and, she's back home where it all started and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then Chelsea, being Chelsea, the next day with Kira Walsh, just did exactly the same thing, but a little bit more understated, as if to kind of go, oh look, the noisy neighbours down there, bless them with Chloe Kelly. Look, we've gone and got the best defensive midfielder in the world, and we're not shouting about it that much because we don't need to. But
no, everyone knows her importance, and we'll just continue to release these videos. And but yeah, I mean, what a week for Chelsea, bringing in Goma and Walsh, because they can. And of course, we'll talk about it later, but Kira Walsh did get her first minutes in a Chelsea shirt.
So excited!
And Chloe can't believe still that Kira is back in the WSL.
So excited.
Look at that happy face.
Buzzing!
Absolutely buzzing. I'm just laughing at all these comments. Thank you so much. However, Stuart has said, thank you, Stuart, is there another version of events where Chloe Kelly hasn't handled herself well? Not publicly, but behind the scenes, which has led to her falling out of favour. I don't know, just playing devil's advocate. Maybe.
I fully agree with Stuart. And again, returning to Megan's article, this is the point. Yeah. Yes. If you just look at it without those statements, she's acted a spoilt brat.
It certainly looks like it, doesn't it?
But with those statements and getting ahead of it, has she forced that move? Has she got a very savvy PR team? Potentially. And but clearly she, and I do wonder now whether we will see more people doing what Megan said, like Chloe Kelly, and following Chloe Kelly's example. We this summer, I'm trying to think who the big contracts running out are, but let's say Russo gets left out of the team at Arsenal, or Turling gets left out of the team at Manchester United, or indeed Chloe Kelly goes to Arsenal and doesn't get into the team. I wonder how long it'll be before the little little hints in the Athletic to tame journalists because I did think actually the one thing I will say, the cheek of Chloe Kelly in that statement to complain, people at Manchester City have been briefing against me and trying to destroy my behave. Sorry, you are not that naive, Chloe. Like, you know what those statements were doing. And Megan in her article wrote, she wrote it more as asking the question of, it's interesting because it could be a sign of it, and we might see more of it. It's like, no, Chloe, you knew what you were doing. You are not some poor blonde footballer who is being relentlessly mistreated, and all you want to do is kick a ball around and play for your favourite clubs, you know what you're doing. You're a lioness. You have media training up the wazoo. And
it'd be different, isn't it, if she did go to Brighton? If she did just go, I need to get out, I need to go, Brighton want me, I'm gonna go. So it's interesting that even though Brighton did want her, she ended up at Arsenal. It's just very
I do think there is in the women's game there is a lot more scope for players to mould the narrative, like Megan says, because women's football fans are, and I don't mean this as an insult before I get pilloried, I mean this as a difference, are far less inclined as a mass, if you like, to critical think. Their decisions go very much on emotions. Their decisions go very much, I like that player, therefore this must be happening. What she says goes. And I think that happens in the case of Katie McCabe, where she does stuff and people will refuse to see she's done anything wrong because they like Katie McCabe.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because there's, again, certain players have certain personalities, and a certain kind of person is attracted to them then being their favourite player and will stick up for them no matter what is what you're saying. 100%. Because you're right, as soon as someone else does a similar thing, it's, all hell's broke loose. It's an odd turn of events, and it's usually the same type of crowd that are involved. Whereas the majority of folk can take a step back, take off the rose-tinted glasses, and just say it kind of how it is, can't they? But it's certainly an interesting one, and especially if more players start to do it and get behind it as well. Lovely. Thank you very much for sharing that, Paul. Okay, next match then. We're going to come on to me. Brighton won, Crystal Palace won. I'm absolutely buzzing. Crystal Palace got a point. They got a point. However, I don't know if anyone else saw this game, but it was just a bizarre combination of events. Even more bizarre than the Sunderland game, which we'll talk about later. But Brighton were given the lead just after the 20-minute mark by the most heartbreaking type of own goal. Lily Woodham was under some pressure at the back and passed back to a keeper thinking everything was fine. And Millie May Mayasari, she's gone to kick it and the ball's gone under her foot and it's been a race back to get to the goal before the ball went under the line. Oh, that'd be interesting. Over the line. But she just couldn't get there. And that was Brighton's 1-0. And you just thought, oh my God, they've been gifted this out of nowhere. And it was just, heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. Not the only own goal of the weekend, of course, we have to say. Still not okay after that one. However, during that first half, Brighton just continued to dominate. Palace weren't without their chances, however. They did manage to exploit some space down the wings and had a few good chances. Got to half-time, still 1-0. And you thought, right, okay, how's this going to play out? Is there going to be a momentum shift? And there was, because Maisie Simons received a red card for a high challenge on Amy Everett. Vidicic, after the match, said that was the moment that killed the game. And after that, it was, again, Crystal Palace had some really good chances, had some good spells of possession. But the last 5 minutes, as is mostly the case, were the most exciting of the match. Now, Lily Woodham from earlier reversed her initial bad luck because she assisted the equaliser. It was a lovely cross into the box for Maikato for a simple tap-in. And you thought, right, 1-1, it's on. What's going to happen now? Palace ended up with a really good chance, had a really good corner. But that clearance ended up with a Brighton counter. And you thought for a split second that this could be it. This could be the winner. Start with McLaughlin on the right, cross the ball over to Olaslagers, who was through on goal. And you just thought, she can't miss. However, she angled it just a bit too much with her left foot. and it deflected off the right-hand post. And you just thought, this is the state of the game. It's destined to be 1-1. The final chance, however, came from a dangerously placed Palace free kick, and friend of the pod, Annabelle Blanchard, took the shot, but it dropped. What is in this? It dropped just a bit too late, and just onto the top of the net. So it was a frantic second half after a very confusing first half, but a massive point for Crystal Palace, ending their losing streak. Brighton, however, are also without a win in the last 5 as well. And I will just apologise. My dog is dreaming, if anyone heard his barking, and he does a really cute little whistly bark when he sleeps. So if anyone hears that in the background, that's what that is. So yeah, I mean, if we look at the table now, Palace still bottom, but 6 points. Leicester on 9. It's not out. It's not out of the picture. It is still very doable if Leicester have a bit of a bad run. But yes, that was Brighton 1, Palace 1, and just bizarre, completely bizarre. Now I've changed the order around slightly. So Paul, I'm going to come to you next. Spurs 0, Man United 1. There should have been more goals, shouldn't there, in this one? But our Liz was made the difference in this one. So yeah, talk us through it if you can, Paul.
I'm getting depressively used to praising Man United and finding ways to do it. But again, Liz Turland, what one moment of quality won this game, and it was Liz Turland's finish, and it was very similar to her goal against Spurs, her first goal against Spurs at Lee Valley, at Lee Sports Village, with a fizzed cross across the middle, a volley across her body, and she catches it so sweetly. Like, yeah, when you watch something and you just want to watch it over and over again because it just it scratches a little itch in your brain because it's one of those oddly satisfying things. A perfectly hit volley. And Liz Turland, just one of those, the ball coming across about waist height, and she just gets in front of the defender and catches it perfectly. So, again, why the hell Mark Skinner's playing him at number 10? Just, that's why you're playing number 9, because in that 18-yard box, there are maybe 3 players better in the world than this. Three, maybe not 3 in the world. There are maybe 3 players better in the WSL.
Yeah.
In that position. Buddy Shaw and possibly Sam Kerr, although, I would argue that Kerr and Turland are on a level for pure finishing ability now, which will probably annoy all the Chelsea fans in the chat. But she just finishes. And from that moment on, Man United played Skinner ball, and unfortunately it worked. Which made him look like he knew what he was doing. But the really interesting thing about it is I don't like being right, but I love being right. And Grace Clinton is now conspicuous by her absence from the Man United team with Ella Toon back.
Yeah.
And
I've noticed.
I said this had happened because they can't play in the same team. And
no.
People...
It was quite forced for a while, wasn't it? And then it's just turned into one or the other.
It's like at least Mark has realised they can't play in the same team, and he clearly prefers Ella Toon to Grace Clinton, and sees them very much as an A and B partnership after, which has annoyed Man United fans because with all their Stargirl stuff for Clinton and all the talk last year, and I just look at it and think, should have stayed at Spurs, Grace, or you should have stayed at Everton, arguably, as well. Because Grace Clinton in that,
I love that.
Grace Clinton in that Everton midfield, though.
you
now.
imagine?
It's a kiss.
Firstly, she'd actually get to play, but
Well, we always take the mick out of Skinner. Like that's always going to be a thing. But the team themselves, if you look at their stats, if you look at where they are, I mean, they're second. They're second in the table. 30 points, so the closest to Chelsea. Yes, Arsenal are just behind them, and City are just behind Arsenal. But people are still talking about a title race for City, and they're not even mentioning United, even though they're right there. So is this more of a case of who's actually going to finish up with those Champions League spots? Like, is there still a doubt that United won't get it? Or do you think they're going to finish in and among those spots?
if they do, it's because of Fallon Tullis-Joyce having a season for the ages. Like,
Oh, she's been incredible.
she has been arguably the best goalie in the world in the way she's played this season.
Yeah.
And obviously Maya Letitia in front of her as well, but she has got that aura around her now, Fallon Tullis-Joyce, that the great goalies have, where they almost beat forward psychologically, because you look at
know
that they would get caught out. It's the aura Peter Cech used to have. It's the aura Peter Schmeichel used to have. It's the aura, in the women's game that I wanted to say Sandra Peños, but she never actually got tested. So who, maybe not her. It's the aura that everyone thought Mary Earps had,
and Katrin Berger, that kind of
pecan Katrin Berger. Yeah, just that.
Yes.
Yeah, even if we get past this elite level defense, we then have to beat the final line of defense, which is basically a whole line of defense by itself. That another line of defense, which is a line of defense. There you go. That's the game was decided by a goal.
That's your quote for the night.
That's the coaching. That's my coaching acumen there. But if there is, because I refuse to credit Mark Skinner for Man United's renaissance, because not even his own fans will credit Mark Skinner for Man United's renaissance. Fallon Tullis-Joyce is single-handedly the reason that Man United are where they are, and there's a reason she was the most expensive goalie ever at the time. I don't know whether she is now. Is she still the most expensive goalie transfer?
Maybe. I haven't heard it.
I think she may well be. But she is single-handedly keeping that team afloat. I love, by the way, Emma's autocorrect has changed Fallon to Phalanx, which is just perfect, given she might as well be Phalanx.
That's 100% accurate.
Phalanx Tullis-Joyce. That's
Phalanx. Yes. Just with her gloves, just in the.
Yeah.
You know that Mark Skinner's still comparing Fallon to Mary?
That's because Mark Skinner's a pleb.
Still, like, what year are we in? And he's still comparing them. It's like, Mary's long gone.
I mean, I did enjoy him saying that a team that existed for 6 years was the biggest women's club on the planet against Spurs, with only the 11 titles less than Spurs women's team have won.
It just made us laugh. Like, as soon as he said that, like, we all took the mick, being like, big club. Yes, we know he means Man United as a club, as the men's club. But just the way he said it is in like, he's built this empire. I was like, no, Mark. No, Mark.
No, you haven't, Mark. You've basically, you could throw darts at a board and put those players out. And the way Fallon Tullis-Joyce is playing at the moment, and indeed the belief that she's instilling on the teammates in front of her, if you throw darts at a board, as long as Hinata Miyazawa, Liz Turland, Maya Letitia, and Fallon Tullis-Joyce are 4 of the darts you hit, Man United are going to play well because they've got that spine of the team now.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. I'm still looking at
And Spurs-
these goalkeepers.
And Spurs were just Spursy. Like the Spursiness has infected Robert Billaham's team as well as Ange Postecoglou's. They must be
Not
they must
happening,
be
is it?
reading from the same coaching manual. And I do worry a bit about Robert Billaham's job. I hope that the notoriously trigger happy Spurs owners give him time and give him
Hope
resources.
so. Yeah, do hope so. Can confirm Fallon is still, as far as we know, the highest or most expensive goalkeeper. 150,000.
150,000. Yeah, he's got the most expensive goalie in the world, but
Yeah.
he needs more backing because they can't compete with the likes of Chelsea, even though he has the most expensive goalie in the world. And Man
Well, he's still new,
United,
isn't he? He's still learning.
and he was after Chloe Kelly, even though he's got 47 wingers already. And
That's all it is. Team full of wingers. That's it.
he's like a
I do love
Pokemon
that.
collector on a sugar rush. He's just there, like, oh, I like that. I like that. I want a Charmander. I want
This and I want that.
I want this and I want that. I don't know how they're going to fit into my poker deck. I just want them because everyone else says they're cool.
Yeah. And Graham's but there. Mark Skinner should just wear a shirt saying, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Which is one more than Skinner is in a month. But,
yeah, so if you haven't tuned into the pod before, welcome. welcome indeed. But we're going to talk about some happier news because, hey, you're not called Everton, you're called Chloe. Chloe, back to you. Because we're going to talk about Everton 4, Leicester 1, and the origin of my topical tag, Wake Me Up Before You Gargo, because Kelly Gargo getting a brace, phenomenal work. Chloe, talk us through this one because it looked like it was going to be quite a tight match, and then just Everton just soared, didn't they?
Do you know what? I think this might be the start of an up for us. I think with the win, I mean, I was quite worried going into this game because we got the win on Wednesday in the cup.
We did,
which was quite exciting. And then I was a bit worried going into this about, Brian said there'd be rotation. And well, I'm always worried watching Everton. Let's be real here. There's just a worry all around. I feel like I've aged 10 years watching Everton, but I feel like this is finally our way up. We're finally getting back to our winning ways, and we're winning the league and Champions League and every single cup next year, boys. Because who have Everton signed? They've only gone and signed Marin Mielji. What?
Yeah, getting Marin Mielder. How? How was she back?
How? Like she's won the WSL countless times with Chelsea. She's like an absolute serial winner. I was outside Rejoice Stadium and I saw that, and I literally just went to the group chat going, "This is not real. This is one of those, like slow sports news." I thought that was that at first. I was like, this is an absolute hoax. This is not real. This is not happening. And then Everton actually tweeted it saying, "Welcome, Marin." And I was like, I was literally outside.
Who are we adding?
I was literally outside the Joy Stadium. Jaw dropped. Like, are you actually joking? Are you serious? Like, she didn't feature on Sunday, but that's not important here. The fact that we've actually managed to sign her is like absolutely crazy. But onto the actual game, because I'm just gonna keep talking
Well, we
about
needed the catch up. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
this game. Oh, honestly, some of these signings for WSL are just brilliant. Walsh, Marin coming back. I'm like, oh, I'm living. Kira's in the wrong shade of blue, but I'll let that slide. But yeah, no, this game was great. I mean, Kelly Gargo got her first goal on Wednesday in the cup, and she's just continuing. But the one thing I did want to mention is her link up with Tony Payne.
Yeah.
Oh, Like that, I think that is the start of an absolutely beautiful partnership. Like those two playing together, the link up that they kept having was just absolutely outstanding, and I'm so excited to see more of their partnership, their pairing. She scored after 5 minutes, and then Shannon O'Brien managed to, get the one back for Leicester. Catches Noyce scored a very nice goal as well.
Very
She-
smooth goal.
Smooth as silk, Chloe. Smooth as silk, that one.
I'm here all week, people. And then the absolute beast that is Honoka Hayashi, who is
How did that go in?
I'm still trying to work it out. Like she's amazing. She's so good. She's so quick. She's so clinical. Brian Sorensen absolutely loves her. Like he was so full of praise of her the other day, saying like how she's the sweetest person ever. She's always showing up for training. She's just always willing to give everything a go. And then he was joking about how we'd love a couple more Japanese players in the league because they're just incredible. And you know what? I agree with him. She's so good, and I'm really glad that she got a go because that goal was just so beautiful.
It stayed hit, didn't it? She hit it and it stayed hit. Like,
yeah, that was going in no matter what. Like,
and I'm just excited. I just think that with all the new signings we've got Hayley Ladd, who's an absolute machine. Like she is incredible. Got her from United. We've got Emma Watson from United. We've got Gargo, who's becoming he's going to be top goal scorer by the end of the season. I did feel like we were missing Meg a little bit because we lost Meg Finnegan on Wednesday night, club captain, to an ACL injury, which was really, really sad. Although I didn't think it was that bad, to be honest, the first time I saw it, because she went down, then got up and continued to play, then went down again. So quite good. I'm very gutted for Megan for her ACL, and I do think she will be a big loss on the pitch. But you know what? We've got a fiery Scott, Lucy Hope, as captain now, which is going to be great.
She'll whip them into shape. Don't worry.
She's amazing. And when she has taken the armband, she's been great. And she's a leader. She's clinical. She's a good communicator. I think once again our court had an absolutely exceptional game. I cannot even describe how clinical Courtney Brosnan has been for us these past couple of games. Or even Emily Ramsey on Wednesday. It was really nice seeing her play and get
Rambo back.
We've got Rambo back. Rambo has had a horrific time with injuries recently.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to see her back and get between the sticks again. And of course, our favourite twinnies are back as well. They're better as a pair.
What a time to be supporting Everton.
Yeah, and we're winning the Subway Cup, we're winning the WSL, we're winning the Champions League, we're winning the FA Cup. If there's a cup, you name it, we're winning it next season because we have got married. It's just a great time to be. Although saying that, we have got Chelsea next week, so
haven't you got Chelsea back to back as well?
Yeah, we've got Chelsea the FA Cup. Who does that to a person? Who says
how the fact it's fallen like that is so someone's awful. Someone's awfully planned that.
Someone hates me.
Are they both at Kingsmeadow as well?
Yeah. Someone has said, "Oh, we'll give you the pain of being an Everton fan, but then we'll also give you Chelsea at Kingsmeadow in the cup, and then the week after, we will give you them in the WSL, both at Kingsmeadow." But I'm kind of hoping that Chelsea played today, then they play Sunday. Then I think they play again on Wednesday, and then they play on Sunday. So they have got back to back games. I might have made up that they play on a Wednesday. I know they definitely played this Wednesday.
Yeah.
I might have made up to play next Wednesday, but I hope they do for my sake. So I'm kind of hoping that because they played back to back to back to back, that they're having to rest some players. So we
Hoping
won't
they're a
have
bit tired.
we won't have to play any of them. So we could win.
That's
Hey,
all. Just play their B team and it'll be absolutely fine.
we beat Chelsea before to get to the FA Cup final. Like we beat them at Goodison Park a couple of seasons ago to reach the final.
I was going to say Chelsea have got enough. They don't need another cup, do they?
No, give it to us. I think we can do it.
They've won enough. Yeah.
They're concentrating on the Champions League.
Exactly. Just forfeit the FA Cup on Sunday. Let us have it.
It's like Sonia, you don't. If you're out the FA Cup, it's 5 less games that you can concentrate on the Champions League with, which, let's face it, is the one you want to win.
Just imagine, psst, you don't want this one.
Us Royal Blues have got
Play us off. All 11.
Us Royal Blues have to stick together. Just have a little back pass there. Oh no, you've passed to the wrong blue.
Yeah.
Oh, what a shame. Have both teams wear the home kits. To be fair, have both teams wear the blue kits. You don't know who's who. It's perfect. I say we do that. Thanks. Chelsea back to back. Whose idea was that? Because it just seems really, really unfair and really mean, and I don't really like it. Thanks.
And Tony, you're not getting in on the dream here. We're not living in reality land. we fully know that even rotated 4 times, Chelsea have still got incredible firepower that they can come out with. Hey,
they've got an amazing squad.
We know.
So, and I know they don't play next Wednesday. I'm just the Lulu that they would, hopefully, because I want to go to the FA Cup final again. I really want to.
We're all Everton in this. We're all.
Can we return to reality a bit briefly? By the way.
Oh.
Because Shannon O'Brien, Coventry's finest, scoring for Leicester, and I feel like I can be happy about this because Everton won, so I'm not rubbing it in Chloe's face either. But
yeah, because it was 5th minute Gargle, wasn't it? Opened the scoring.
Yeah.
Then Shannon O'Brien got the equaliser in the 16th, and that's when you thought, oh, is it game on? Then it was Snoise. Then it was Hayashi, and then Gargle got her second, and you just thought, oh, it was right there, wasn't it?
The first WSL goal in over 500 days, because she's had horrendous luck with injuries, like just constant niggling injuries. So it's great to see her back, and yes, I am fully biased.
No, but it is. It's fantastic to have her back, isn't it?
I'm for England. And all that, but yeah, she's a big player for Leicester. So
yeah, they've really missed her, haven't they? Because Leicester are just a shell of their former selves at the minute, aren't they? It's just they're not having any luck at all. Tony, that's just greedy. 4 trophies in 1 season. No, I mean you'll get them, of course you will. But that's no fun.
I hold out no luck, but. Do you know what? A girl can dream.
A girl can dream, exactly, and that's exactly what we're going to do for the rest of it. Now, Paul, we're going to come back to you next because we're going to talk about Liverpool 1, West Ham 0. West Ham, I don't know what's up with them because they started a bit awful, and then they got a little bit of a run, and you thought, okay, were they just settling? They had a bit of a spike, and now they've just kind of, again. So, talk to us about this one, Paul, because there was only the 1 goal in it, of course, for Liverpool.
Sorry, Emily, this is not a game that will live long in the memory. It was one of those games that kind of just happens, and
it happened, and then it was over.
It happened, and then it was over. It was decided by a goal. So
many were this weekend. Many were.
It was a nice goal, and again, a player coming back who's had her own injury issues, Leanne Kiernan, Irish international striker, finding the back of the net, and Beardy and his troops needed this one. It was because obviously Liverpool, by their own admission, have not built on last season at all. Now, there are lots of different potential reasons for that. There's injuries, there's players moving around, there's other teams strengthening. I mean, they lost Sophie Roman Haug for a good while.
Yeah.
That is a huge loss. They haven't perhaps found the consistency with the midfield that they had last season in terms of, not necessarily in terms of lineups, but in terms of performances. And this again was a fairly bitty game. I mean, West Ham had 9 shots. None of them were actually on target, which is quite impressive. Because you just put it in the general direction of the goal, and one of them's going to be counted as on target normally, even if it is just a soft dribble through. But they all kind of went wide. Liverpool weren't much better for their account. They had 2 shots of their 13 on target, which is a whole 9%. So 9 shots in every 100 on target. That's good. Keep going, lads and lasses. And I've seen discussion now starting to go around is Liverpool don't get called out enough, and obviously you've got fan base agendas, and there are the fan bases saying this. But considering the amount of money Liverpool have as a club, I think it's very classy of Matt Beard. Unlike certain other managers in the Northwest, he could actually claim about needing more investment, and he hasn't.
Yeah,
and he's been very vocal, almost at the opposite, and said, "Yeah, we get the players that we want to get. I'm backed to get the players I want to get, and I've got to do stuff with them. I've got to do the job with them and get them playing." Speaking of that, the job he's done with Grace Fisk, former West Ham player.
Yeah.
What a defender Grace Fisk is. Just
Brilliant. Yeah.
Just like she's not. She doesn't make watching defense poetic, like some defenders. She's not one of these glamorous defenders who you watch and she's a good defender. But she's one of those defenders where if the ball goes into the box and someone heads it away, it's probably Grace Fisk.
Yeah.
If the ball is slightly loose and a vital block goes in on a forward, or a through ball is broken up with an opposition forward running through to run onto it, it's probably Grace Fisk doing it. She just does her job really, really well, and she did it again against West Ham.
Yeah,
she was absolutely immense. And there's a lot of talk about why is Ash Neville not in the England squad? Why is Grace Fisk not being talked about as an England player?
Yeah, and that's why we are talking about
it. She is easily having a Maya Letitia level season. She's easily having a Millie Bright level season in the sense that she could be a very capable understudy to Millie Bright. I'm not saying she should be picked for England instead of Millie Bright, but she is a very capable understudy who, if deities forbid Millie Bright were ever to get injured, she could fit into that role without missing.
She's there and able to do the job 100%. Yeah. No, that's the thing. And again, it's that we always talk about kind of like lioness tax and that kind of thing. It's almost the opposite. If you're not on the lionesses, a lot of people don't bother and don't look and don't talk and that kind of thing. So, we'll kind of always be here, won't we, talking about the people who deserve it and the praise that they deserve for the good job that they're doing.
And also Jenna Clark as well.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Absolute rock at the back. And Taylor Hines as well, who is another player who could easily fit in on that slightly problematic left side for England, and is probably not talked about enough.
No.
Because she's not in the Big Four. And apparently we can only pick players from the Big Four teams. Apparently, this is in the FA rules that Serena got shown secretly, and I happened to see. Well, when I snuck into St George's Park before being chased away by Mr. Bird-style dogs, just for clarity, I didn't actually sneak into St George's Park, but the story was good. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah. I was just going to say, actually, Taylor Hines has declared for Jamaica recently.
Can you blame her? Like,
Nope.
Nope.
you can't. You absolutely cannot blame her. That's a tremendous loss for England.
Yeah.
Particularly with her only being in her early to mid 20s.
A lot of
Like,
potential there. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I do worry we could see more of that under Serena V, but with players. That's the thing that worries me. But you know, we're going to end up ranting. So back to the game. Liverpool did a classic Matt Beard performance. You know, it wasn't special. It was dealt with a very nice finish from the anchor, indeed.
Yes, it was.
Who, by the way, has some of the most amazing hair in women's football. Like when
At least you can actually spot her.
that's what I mean. In a sea of blonde ponytails, you know, she stands out like Carlos Valderrama used to. There's a men's football reference.
What a reference. Okay.
That's an old school reference. But like if Tony, who as a Swede is saying the way Grace Fisk hasn't got a lioness call up is actually insane. Like,
yeah,
maybe she'll have Fisk is sort of Swedish. Maybe you can have a word. It sounds vaguely Scandinavian. Like it's probably
is that how it works? My name kind of sounds a bit like your language. Can I?
My name is the Swedish word for fish. So can I please? Or is it the Danish? I'm sure Fisk is definitely fish in a Scandinavian language.
Hey, Tony's on it tonight. Tony. Wow.
There you go. See?
Yeah. Swedish. I love that both of you knew that, by the way. Yeah. Hey, who knows? Who knows what the future will
And
hold?
Sweden could go fisking. There you go.
And there we go. But like you said, a vital 3 points. A vital 3 points in what is shaping up to be, I mean, again, looking at the table, there's the groups start, well, they've been grouped like that for a while now, haven't they? You've got the top, 3, 4, then you've got the group of 5 or 6, and then you've got the 2 right at the bottom. But yeah, every single point counts, which is why when we're going to come to the final game of the WSL this weekend, let's talk about it, shall we? Let's get it over. This was Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 1. What a bloody game. And I think, again, considering the turbulent season that Villa's had, considering where Chelsea are, the fact that it was only 1-0 and the fact that Villa's defense was, better than we've seen it for a very long time. And the fact that Chelsea ultimately, they had a few players missing through injury. So does everyone. But they didn't look completely comfortable. And the fact that a team like Villa, who, looking at the table, you'll think they're not a threat. We're going to get 7 past them. Like, I doubt anyone would have thought from that fixture it's going to be a 1-0. And it's going to be an own goal at that. So we've kind of all said, regardless of the outcome, it's gutting that I didn't say we deserved to win. Calm down. We've all kind of said if it had stayed at that draw, the fact that none of us were scoring, the fact that it was so tight right till the end and just nothing was going right, it had to be a moment of magic or an error, and unfortunately it was the error. And it's nice that some Chelsea fans as well have actually said, you know what? Yeah, fair play. That was a really good performance. Some have still said, you know, we're the best team in the world. We always find a way to win. And nothing for Villa. But a good couple of them have acknowledged it, which has been the difference. And again, it's about that stepping back, isn't it? And taking off the rose-tinted glasses or taking away that emotion. I know I'm talking about it, but like you've got to see it kind of fairly, haven't you? So let's talk about it. So it was Natalia Arroyo's first game in charge. Straight away, from a Villa perspective, they looked completely different. That wasn't the team that started the season. It wasn't even the one that was playing a few weeks ago. They looked stronger, they looked quicker, they looked like they wanted to attack, and they were comfortable attacking as well. And most importantly, we've always said Villa Park's never felt like home. There's just something about Villa Park that it just hasn't really gelled. That was the most comfortable they've ever looked at Villa Park. And you just think, if this is the start of something, this is going to be fantastic. Villa made 4 changes, their starting 11, while Chelsea made 5, compared to the teams that played last weekend. First real chance of the game, though, came through a loose ball from Millie Bright, which Gabby Nunez was able to intercept, which is quite nice to say. She tried to chip Hannah Hampton, but luckily for Chelsea, she was able to reach it, control it comfortably. And for the Villa side, that was a sign that they had no intention of sitting back. There was no kind of, right, we're going to sit and just, you know, limit Chelsea to their shots. They were there to play. And I think that was the best thing about this match. Moments later, though, Chelsea, of course, found themselves in front of goal. Lauren James set up a thunderous shot, but Lucy Parker made a crucial save to keep the scoreline at 0-0. Lucy Parker, by the way, huge shout out to her, player of the match by a long shot. How many defenders could go toe-to-toe with Lauren James and Myra Ramirez, and for the most part, come out the victor? She was phenomenal. So if you're not familiar with Lucy Parker, get to know her. So she was phenomenal. It was a great battle as well between Niamh Charles and Chastity Grant down the right-hand side as well. Stats-wise, interestingly enough, Villa had 6 shots. I think we only had 1 in the reverse fixture, so, you know, progress, with 2 on target, and Chelsea had 11 shots with only 2 on target as well. So that kind of shows you what we're working with. Now, it was back and forth, a bit like Chloe earlier when she said she was watching a tennis match. It was complete. It was end to end. And the last 20 minutes, this is when you can imagine it became quite interesting and quite tense. Both teams started to increase their intensity. Chelsea were making subs fairly early on. Villa didn't really make any subs until I think it was like the 70-ish minute. And around that time, this is when Villa had their best chance of the match. And it was what Emma was referencing earlier. Now, Lucy Parker cleared a ball and started a fantastic Villa counter-attack. It was a lovely through ball from Jordan Nobbs in the midfield, landed at Kirsty Hansen's feet. She continued down the left-hand side, fired a shot from distance, and it looked to go straight into the back of the net. And you just thought, oh my God, is this it? Are we going to go 1-0 up against Chelsea? And as Hampton stretched for the ball, she's just about reached it. Can't quite see if she makes contact or not, but the ball then pings off the underside of the crossbar and back out. And you just, how? How did that not go in? And she was shaking her head in disbelief. Everyone else was shaking their heads, just thinking, is this going to be how the game's going to go? And yeah, it was. On the replay, you can see Chastity just stop running. And you just think, if that deflection, if she'd been a bit nearer, would she have been able to get it before Niamh Charles? But it's all a game of ifs, isn't it, if it happened? The big moment, of course, the one that made all the difference, that saw Chelsea take the 3 points. Ramirez, fantastic player that we know she is, manages to turn away from Lucy Parker in a lovely little move, starts her attack down the right wing, comes into the 18-yard box, crosses for an approaching Hamano to tap it in. Unfortunately for Villa, Mailing, who had an incredible match, by the way, I'm not taking anything away from Sarah Mailing, she also went in to try and block Hamano. As she's done it, she's made contact with the ball to try and put it behind the goal. But as she's hit it, It's then hit D'Angelo's foot and then bobbled behind D'Angelo for an own goal. And that was in the 82nd minute. And he just thought, oh, we held on for so long. But yeah, just that's the way it was going to go. And unfortunately, that was it. Reffin was fairly decent throughout, but the last 10 minutes went a bit strange. 2 Villa corners were given as goal kicks. One in the 95th minute out of 6 additional minutes, and you just thought, again, a case of what if something had happened there. Special mention to Kira Walsh, though, who got a 20-minute cameo. She said she wasn't expecting to play, but hey, there she was in the midfield, slotted in very well. So very excited to see how she does for the rest of the season. Arroyo called it a cruel welcome to WSL, but was happy that Chelsea had struggled to find a way through. Bon Pastor also said the same thing. They were lucky to get the win. She wasn't happy with the performance, but obviously happy that they got the points. But I will say, though, if Villa continue to play like that, and their next match is against Leicester, unfortunately for Leicester, I don't think there's any doubt that they can get a result there. But yeah, so it was bittersweet. It was a fantastic performance, really, really proud. But unfortunately, it just had to be against Chelsea, who of course got the 3 points in. But yeah, so a bit heartbreaking there. But if we look at the results, here we go. So Chelsea, I mean, they're not going to get caught, are they? They're up there on 37 points. United following on 30, Arsenal 27. And as you can see, there's not much in it. 2 or 3 points here and there as we go. Now, next weekend, of course, or should I say this weekend, it's the next round of the FA Cup. So, shall we have a look at the fixtures? I have them. Hang on. Right. This weekend, then, we've got Villa, Man United. Villa? No, I was looking at Villa Brighton there. Wolves, Man United. Chelsea, Everton. Portsmouth, Sunderland. Man City, Leicester. It says 4th round at the bottom. Ignore that. 5th round at the top. Palace United, Villa Brighton, Rugby Borough Liverpool, Arsenal London City. Are there any matches there that catches anyone's eye for the weekend?
I mean, Sunderland are just getting bad luck with their away trips in the FA Cup, aren't they, really?
I know. Exeter, Portsmouth.
Like just longest possible trips.
One close at home would be nice. It really would. It really, really would.
Apparently, Wolves Man United is sold out at Telford.
Oh, incredible.
6,500.
That'd be amazing.
That could be tasty.
Ooh.
Chelsea versus Everton, we've spoken about at great length.
Yes. And we know Everton are going to win. Yep.
100%. So confident.
I think Palace Newcastle is going to be good.
Battle of the Stripes. Red and blues, better than black and white.
Battle of the Stripes. I mean, Rugby Borough Liverpool, I hope that's just like a really scrappy, like proper traditional FA Cup match.
I hope Liverpool thump them. Like,
I wonder why, Paul. I wonder why.
It is a field. It is literally part of. It looks like a municipal park. Like,
yeah.
There's a little kind of room that's kind of like a pavilion type thing, and then the first time I got there, I'm like, this can't be a league stadium, because the one stand is 3 rows of seats in a corner, like not even behind the goal, just randomly stuck by the corner flag.
Wow. Okay.
And I've said before, I feel bad about wanting Rugby Borough to get thumped, because there are some very, very good people there. Like Lee Birch, the manager there, treated me wonderfully when I was covering Coventry United.
Yeah.
But just the way that they were taken away from the city, and the local BBC radio station now cares more about the team that they're in rugby 15 miles away than they did when they were 10 minutes walk from the studio front door, which is possibly due to women's football being another couple of years further down the line in growth, but we're still a bit bitter. But I don't know. I hope there's some life in the FA Cup ties, because I was going to talk about this when we talked about the Championship. But I was speaking to Stuart, who we've spoken to earlier on, and he was telling me, and I'm bringing it up because he was telling me he was speaking to some Portsmouth fans who obviously have come up from the Women's National League, and apparently the general feeling among Portsmouth fans is that the Championships, the experience of watching Championship games off the pitch is a bit crap.
Yeah.
Because it's lifeless, were the words that they said. There's not, there's not really that much attention. There's not, clubs don't seem to put much into it. And some of them are actually looking forward to getting back down to the National League, where they can have proper local derbies.
Oh, really?
And I just found that very interesting, because I think a lot of that is to do with the fact people don't know the Championship exists, and we all know why that is. There's no real push or marketing to it.
No one's that bothered, which is why we keep pushing for the Championship, because it's such a fantastic league. And in fact, let's talk about it now, shall we? Although Matthew did say possible shocks: Leicester beat Man City and London City win against Arsenal. That would be phenomenal. Yes, it was. Now let's have a look. Championship wise, now there were. There's a bit of drama early on, because, as we can see, Charlton and Blackburn was postponed. Now, I know Graham in the chat, of course, Charlton fan, was very aggrieved by this, because let's get the timeline, shall we? Kickoff was meant to be at 12 o'clock, so midday, nice and early. The first pitch inspection was at 11:20. Okay. They then... Excuse me. They then postponed kickoff and said, we'll update you. They had a second pitch inspection at 12:30, so half an hour after kickoff was meant to be. They then postponed the game at 10-1. Okay. So fans were already in the stadium. And the reason was it was a frozen pitch. Now, I don't understand why they didn't have the covers on, because if they knew it was going to drop to freezing temperatures, surely that would have been a priority. But yeah, Paul, kind of what was your reaction when you realised how close they were cutting in ultimately when they did call it off? What can clubs do to just avoid this? Because it's quite shocking, really, isn't it?
Sorry, Graham, but I'm going to rip into your team here. There is no excuse for...
Because it wasn't even a small stadium, was it?
While playing at the Valley.
Yeah.
With presumably undersoil heating, or at least the resources to keep pitches playable, to not deal with it. Now, I don't know whether Charlton men were at home on the Saturday, which is a possible. But even so, you have Charlton men play at home, you cover the pitch. And if Charlton men did play at home, then it's even more inexcusable that Charlton women didn't a day later. Like we had in the WNL, we've had similar issues because Watford, after the game against Lewis, where the refereeing went viral for being very, very bad, that was played at Wealdstone's ground. Wealdstone, of course, famous for thinking that every team that comes there is a shit club with no fans. But apparently Wealdstone men played on it on the Saturday last weekend, and then the pitch was judged not in playable condition for Watford women to play on it on the Sunday.
Mm.
Even though it apparently was.
Yeah.
So thank you,
the men
Graham.
were
I
really
stand corrected with that one.
Yeah.
But again, a club, if you're not telling me a club like Charlton doesn't have pitch covers, you're not telling me if they wanted to get that game on at the Valley, they couldn't have got that game on because it was a bit cold in South London. Like, I think there were other games in South London that went on that day as well, and just come on, Charlton. You know,
Yeah, 'cause it was just that one, wasn't it? So it was a bit bizarre, but
you're one of the better. You're one of the better organisations in women's football, and you know you've gone fully professional. You're clearly moving to the Valley. You're clearly somewhat committed to them. You've let yourselves down here with this one.
yeah. And the fact that they then put on socials a video of the players going out and clapping the fans that were there, saying, you know, thank you for coming, but you know, we can't do anything. So it just, yeah, it's just a kick in the teeth, isn't it, when you travel? And especially, you know, for Blackburn fans, it's not as if it's like down the road, is it? It's quite a hefty travel.
It's
to
2.5, 3 hours from Blackburn to.
Yeah, and you just think we just need to do much better if, you know, we're trying to say, look, this is a professional league. This is where we need to be.
And it might be stuff like this as well that we were talking about earlier that makes matches lifeless because, you know, if you're a Blackburn fan, are you going to travel back down?
Well, that's the thing. They posted today that's been rearranged for Sunday the 9th of March. So next month. And you just think, exactly, you know, do we bother traveling down again? Or is it just going to be another postponement? You don't want to take your chances. So yeah, it was really, really sad to see. However, on a different note, let's go on to the matches that were played at the weekend. We had 2 draws and 2 wins, as we can see. So we're going to come to, actually, Paul, you first on my list again. Sheffield won, Durham won. Massive point for Sheffield against Durham, who looked like, you know, they were running, not particularly running away, but they were doing well, weren't they?
Yeah.
So yeah, how annoyed would Durham be to not take the 3 points on this one?
I mean, apparently they did, if you believe the Barclays Women's Championship. Because, again, and this is another issue with the WSL being lifeless, not the WSL, the Championship being considered lifeless because the product on the pitch is incredible, but there's still issues with the product off it.
Yeah.
The official Women's Championship account posted a tweet after the end of all the games that was finished. It was something like really good day for the away teams, and it had Durham beating Sheffield United 1-0, and it stayed up. You know, it wasn't even as if it was up for a few minutes and then fixed. It stayed up for several hours, and you just look at it and go, that's embarrassing. You can't even get the scores right.
Like when Chelsea, because I've got all the alerts on to try and keep up with everything. Chelsea posted a status and they spelled Kira's name wrong. Within seconds, that was deleted and put back up again. But yeah, you're right. If it's up there for hours and no one's noticed, like who is checking all this stuff?
Yeah, it's almost as if the Championship is kind of kept in the attic and occasionally acknowledged when they thump on the floor.
Let out some air now and again, yeah.
Yeah, when they thump on the floor when there's, you know, a 5-4 game or something, then people will notice. If there's a proper ding dong, people will notice. But
no.
the game itself was not a proper ding dong. Durham will be very aggrieved not to have won it because they outshot Sheffield United 2-1. They scored first through Michaela Foster after 25 minutes. And then they just didn't really do anything else. You know, they were just Durham. And Sheffield United, as we said we thought they'd do at the beginning of the season, have finally, seemingly, at least in this game, found that gift of just hanging around, kicking and clawing. And then they have reinforced in the January transfer window. And one of their reinforcements, Jackie Han, New Zealand international, scored a proper header. This is another addition to the Team Chaos Football Vocabulary thing. We have floaty L's, we have Sunday B's, and now we have proper headers. And you have to say it like that, proper headers.
Go on then. What defines a proper header?
A proper header is when I just like saying it like that because is when the ball comes in and the forward rises for it and does the it's not a little glancing header, it's not a little nudge, it's a proper full on bang. Have that type of header, whether it be just with the neck or whether it be the full on. If they jump, it's got to be the full on throwing the neck at it.
Yeah.
And if they're standing, it's got to be the full on, Millie Bright heading an asteroid away, like kind of header.
Yes.
This was an example of the first type. It was a lovely cross, actually, from, I believe, Fallon Colony Jackson, who is playing Scotland age group in the international break as well, and is one of the many, many Sheffield United Academy graduates who are filling the team this season, which, again, isn't really mentioned enough because it's the Championship. And Jackie Hand did the experienced international striker thing of, watching it onto a head and then bosh. Proper, full-on, proper header. Beat the Durham goalie, who I believe was Riley Foster, back playing, which is lovely. I need to double-check that because Tat Saunders has retired for Durham, by the way.
Yes.
Because she was given I believe it was described as something along the lines of an incredible opportunity outside football, which, you absolutely can't blame her for taking.
Yeah.
Because she, if I'm right, she worked at the stock exchange while playing Championship football.
Wow.
And this is another thing about the Championship that I'm amazed that doesn't get marketed more. The stories of some of the players, what they're doing. Like Rima Lord Mears, who played for Sheffield United for years, was a lawyer, and paralegal. And then, of course, we've talked about Mary Corbin a fair bit for Sunderland.
Yeah.
And we've talked about how good she is on the pitch. She has 4 kickboxing titles at the moment. She holds 2 world kickboxing titles. Not one. She's not just world champion. She's a double world champion and a European champion and a British champion all at the same time.
Yeah. And Sunderland's, they've done a few articles and bits and pieces, but you're right. If you don't follow those particular channels, how would you know? No one's talking about it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a commentator's goldmine. Imagine commentating on Mary Corbin and realising that you're commentating on someone who, if Sunderland need a bit of steel in midfield, they've got a 4-time kickboxing champion. You wouldn't mess with her. Double world champion. If she goes for a volley, she'll know how to do that. That was in her second sport, football.
Yeah. And like you said about it being lifeless, it would give so much more personality to it, wouldn't it? And it would just enhance it. I do like how Matthew's saying, for a proper header, you do have to say have it as you're doing it.
Or bosh or have it, proper, proper bullet header. If it can be described, if the leap for it can be described as she rose like a salmon, then it's a proper bullet header. You can break out the proper football cliches, then.
Yes. No, you have to.
But speaking of proper football cliches, Sheffield United they look like the kind of team who more and more could just shit out a 1-0 when they need to. And just if Jackie Han can find a few more goals for them, then sorry Portsmouth, but you'll have to.
Yeah.
It just got a little more difficult for you because Sheffield United look like they've started to play, and Blackburn have picked up a few players as well. So they picked up a player from the University of Arizona. They have Bonnie Davis as well, who is an Aussie talent. Imagine that coming from the Gold Coast to Blackburn. Like, I know we joke about. I know we joke about London City, but I'm pretty sure sending someone from the Gold Coast to Blackburn is against the Geneva Convention. Like,
why would you do it? But yeah, it was a massive point for them to actually get it. And like you said about Sheffield's youth coming through, they did post earlier, which I thought was really nice. They said 4 of our PGA stars have been called up for England under-16s camp taking place this week, further emphasising the progress of our professional game academy, which I thought was really nice. So they're really, taking time and being able to share that of look what's happening. Look at, we're supporting the next generation. And hopefully this is a new era, a new way for Sheffield to come forward and, have some of that young talent actually nurtured and
because they will need to, because I believe the inquest on Maddie Cusack is shortly to take place. So
okay.
It could be a bit of a taxing couple of weeks off the field for women's football.
Yeah, and again, if we can, and we will keep everyone updated, and yeah, because the last thing we want is another trial, another inquest. But this one's incredibly important that the findings get seen and get investigated. Lovely. Right, so that was 1-1 then, Durham Sheffield. Chloe, I think we'll come to you next, please. Speaking of Portsmouth, this was Portsmouth 0, London City 1. So again, not much in this at all. Was that more promising from a Portsmouth perspective, that they weren't getting hammered like they were at the beginning of the season?
I mean, yeah, technically they can take this. They can take it as a positive. And to be fair, they did actually have some good opportunities in the game. Like, they seemed in control for the majority of it. They had like quite a few chances, but London City scored on the 32nd minute thanks to Isabel Goodwin, and she got the only goal. Which
friend of the pod is a good one.
Friend of the pod is a good one. Love her. But yeah, it just seemed like Pompey tried, but they just couldn't get to where they wanted, really. Which is,
sorry, I'm just laughing because it sounded like it said Pompey, and I was like, "Is Vesuvius erupted?" And I didn't know about it.
If you close your eyes, it almost seemed. There you
go. Pompey. No.
Yeah, they haven't got enough, have they? It looked like they were going to start something and really push for it. But again, if we get the points up, two little points. And, London City being up there on 25 points. You just think it was inevitable London City were going to win. But being restricted to 1-0, you never know when Portsmouth could have had that chance. I was also slightly distracted because I've just had a notification from YouTube from Rusha Littlejohn that says what really happened with my former club. So that'll be the first video I'll watch after this, guys.
Oh my god, I'm gonna stream that.
If anyone wants to watch it now,
could we just do a live react? It's probably too late for a live react, isn't it? It's 20 to 11. We can't keep everybody awake. We can't keep everybody awake. It's 20 to 11. Maybe we need to do like.
It's 20 minutes long.
Yeah, we need to do. We
need to do like watch it, share all the deets because
However, they did this to us last time, and it was like, what happened? And then Shaban was like, I can't actually tell you what happened. So yeah, so we'll watch it all after, and we'll tweet if there's anything decent on it.
We'll do an emergency pod like I did with Chloe Kelly on transfer day. We'll get
do an emergency react. But
we'll
Emma
all
is
do one
right.
together and get Sam to stitch it together.
Yeah.
Just the three of us going, oh my god, guys, the tea.
Oh my god, you guys. Okay, yes, right. We'll quicken up. We'll quicken up. There's been far too much going on. Okay, we'll come to me next then. So this was Sunderland 0, Birmingham City 1. Honestly, I don't know how it was just 1-0. That it was a bit of a shambles, to be honest. The lead up to it was brilliant. You know, it was 11,000 tickets sold, and you know, it was at the Stadium of Light, and it was going to be this event, and it was fantastic. And yeah, Sunderland didn't really get started, which was quite painful to watch. Painful in another sense because everyone just seemed to get injured, and just it was awful. So what an afternoon indeed. Yeah, so Sunderland had an awful start. Amy Goddard in defence for Sunderland. No, it wasn't good. She was a mix up at the back, and yeah, 7 minutes in, Lee Yu Min, just beautiful ball straight past Demi Lambourne, and you just thought, that's how it's going to go. If we remember the first game of the season as well, they got beat 5-0 away to Birmingham. And genuinely, that's how I thought it was going to be. That's how I thought. Sunderland were missing Katie Kitchen, of course, who's absolutely vital. She was ill, and were forced into 2 early changes. Now, Jessie Stapleton had to go off injured. Loney from West Ham. Eleanor Dale as well, who's been vital in that number 9 scoring machine in the last couple of matches. She also had to leave the pitch through injury. She drove forward on goal, and the ball was just a bit too far ahead of her. She's then tried to quicken up, extend her leg, as Lucy Thomas, the Birmingham City goalkeepers, come out to meet her, and they've then clashed, and it looked really, really painful. Initially, kind of in the group chat, everyone was like, oh my God, has she broken her leg? Like, what's going on? It didn't look as serious as that, but it certainly looked like it hurt. Neither of them could continue. Lucy Thomas had to go off as well. And you just thought, you know, what else? What else can this game throw at us? So that first goal then, so I said it was Lee Yu Min. Dale, unfortunately, before she got injured, that was her best chance as well to equalise. And it never really got going. There were 12 minutes added on in the first half. Tash Fenton, there was a ball that came in over the top. And actually, some good news of this match, Brianna Westrup made her return to the team because she got injured on opening day, I believe, first game of the season. So fantastic to have her back. So Bree tried to so the cross came in, Bree rose up, tried to head of the ball in, but just went past the post. And Niamh Herron, ex-Sunderland player, was on the line and made a final goal line clearance. And you just thought, if she wasn't there, maybe it could have been an equaliser. Sunderland kept pushing though. They had a bit of luck. They had a bit more of a resurgence, but it just wasn't to be. And ultimately, there just weren't any more chances. They just couldn't create. They couldn't do much with it. And you just thought, for that occasion, you really want both teams to like rise to it. And it just seemed like it was quite lacking in all respects. So, you know, as we said, FA Cup this weekend against Portsmouth, hopefully a good opportunity to kind of get sorted, hopefully bring some of the young talent through. Mary McAteer came on. She had a fantastic game. Mary Corbin, we mentioned earlier, she was brilliant when she came on. And you just think, what could have been on a different day? But yeah, really, really disappointing, unfortunately. for that one. So yeah, 1-0 to Birmingham. And as we can see, it means Birmingham still keeps their lead on 26 points, London City on 25, Bristol 23, Durham 23, Charlton 21, Sunderland 21, Newcastle 20. So 6 points between the top 7. That's it. 6 points between the top 7. It's just absolutely mad. I can see a few people talking about the Rusha thing. Has she actually said anything?
Well,
Spill the beans.
well, the one bit of it is that she
A
said
filtered way, according to Emma.
Ooh.
Oh no, was that? Oh, am I back? Was that my internet?
it might have been you are back.
Yeah. Spill the beans in a filtered way, Emma says. Oh.
She did say a bit apparently about how she got told she wasn't good enough, and her response was to get annoyed and turn around and say, "Oh, you're not Barcelona, it's London City."
Oh, what a response.
Oh, Rusha. It's true though. It's true.
So
I know Barcelona. Oh, that's fine. Oh, I can't wait to watch it. So we've got one more match, guys. We've got one more match. Stick with us. And Paul, finish us off. This was arguably probably the most exciting of all of the matches. Southampton 2, Newcastle 2. Genuinely thought Southampton could have done this, but Molly Pike should have had a hat-trick. So yeah, talk us through our final game of the evening, please, Paul.
first of all, Shania Hales is having a season. Like,
I know, it's annoying, isn't it?
it's annoying if you're of the red of white persuasion or don't like seeing journalists in suitcases, but it is as far as everything else goes for Newcastle themselves. It's great for them. But again, Molly Pike, 2 goals in the 20 minutes. Southampton were 2-0 up inside the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Molly Pike with both goals, and she has a habit of scoring early goals. Does Molly?
Yes, I do like it.
And then, for a long time, Southampton were the better team.
Mm.
And Newcastle kind of hung around, and they weren't under damage control, but they weren't really threatening anything. Southampton outshot Newcastle 10-8. Although, and here is the crucial thing, Newcastle had more shots on target. Of 8 shots, 5 of them were on target. And it seemed like all 5 of those, at one point you could argue all 5 of those were down to Shania Hales because she is an absolute live wire. And this was a tale of 2 halves. Southampton dominated the first half. Second half, Newcastle started to go into the game. On the hour mark, Shania Hales pulled them back into the game. And then you started thinking, oh, we know where this is going.
Yeah.
And the push kept happening. The Newcastle kept pushing, and Amy Andrews, former Durham player, with the classic last-minute equaliser, which is great when it's your team, is great when it's most teams, is not so great when it's teams, the villains of the championship, in the sense that a lot of people, can't get past the off-field stuff with Newcastle. And again, I think Newcastle will see this as 2 points dropped.
Yeah.
Because
they would have expected to win it 100%, yeah.
Because Southampton have not been at the races this season.
No.
They have not been at the level expected for a club with their facilities, with their backing. And Newcastle, for whatever reason why, Newcastle are throwing money at women's football, and we are not seeing it really proven on the pitch. And I think they will see this again as 2 points drop. This is the kind of game, if they're wanting to go up, they should win. against a team in the lower half of the table, below them in the table. Even and they're now 6 points off the top. Newcastle. They do have a game in hand on Birmingham City, but I'm going to be bold and say I think that drop of points means they're staying in the Championship. I don't, even with 10 games to go, I don't think they're.
Yeah, because let's have a look. So Newcastle, 20.
I think Newcastle's big ambition this season now is to finish above Sunderland. That's all they can aim for, because I don't think they're catching. Maybe they're catching Charlton. Maybe they're catching Durham, and they're getting up there into that kind of top 4 region. But I don't think they're making up a 6-point gap with 9 games to go, and Birmingham City still to play, and London City still to play.
And that's the thing, it's that order, like it's going to be those 6, but in what order? That's the thing, isn't it? Where are they going to end up? Who are they taking points for?
I don't think we're starting to see that split now between top 6 and bottom 5, but I think you're now breaking into the bit where you of those 6, you're starting to see which ones are the realistic promotion chasers and which ones are kind of hanging around and might have a chance if the ones above them falter. And I think the top 3 are the realistic, right, we're going for this. And then the next 3 are more, we'll keep going for this, but we need the teams above us to falter at this point.
Yeah, and that's going to be the thing. Who takes points off who drops them, and who ultimately can pounce and make sure that they don't drop anything. Because again, if we look at how many played as well, Blackburn have only played 10 of their 13, so they've still got another 3 games in hand. And at the moment, yes, they've only got 7 points, but who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Because their first game back, never mind, they're against Durham. But you never know, and that's the brilliant thing. We can kind of guess, we can kind of hint at it, but ultimately, we just don't know, and that's what makes the Championship so fantastic. And we will keep singing and dancing from the rooftops to tell everyone about it. Chris has said there, given Newcastle were 2-0 down, 2-2 is a very good point in the end. Yes. And also, Newcastle don't have a game this weekend. No, they don't, because it's FA Cup, isn't it, this weekend, as we said.
I love how Emily might have missed my little thing, because she's like, will you be showing your support for Rugby Borough? No, but I will be.
Oh, Emily, no.
I will be showing my support for your team, Emily.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I can make the short 15-mile trip, but wave on the way by. It's when you see the signs for Coventry, wave on the way by.
Yeah.
But I will be a Scouse Red for that day, I think. And
hope they get battered. Yeah.
Normally I root for Shocks, but no thanks. Not in this case.
Not today. No, 100%. And again, that's what the FA Cup for is at the weekend. A bit of a cup set, as some managers like to say. And hopefully,
I hate that word. I really hate that word. It's
cup set.
It's so green. By the way, Emily, local knowledge at Kilsby Lane, take a coat. Because the wind, it's open, the wind whistles across that. It is a farm. It might as well be a farm. Like, it's right out on the edge of Rugby, in a little village called Hillmorton. So it's not even in Rugby. And it is just a massive open set of fields. And then you walk past something that looks like a five-a-side cage. And then you go into the bit where they have a bar and then a little railing. And that's the main stand. So
and a little railing.
It's
what do you need?
It's not totally wicked. And it's not Prenton Park. Is all I'm saying. And it definitely ain't Anfield. Going from Anfield to Kilsby Lane will be a shock, to say the least. It's not the Cop End. It's the Cop Mound. There's just like there's a bit of pavement behind the goal at one end, and that's kind of the home end, such as it is.
Hey, that means it's decorated. That's what we're talking about.
But say hello to the guy and his dog and come and watch him.
Hey, but it's sold out, so we'll get everyone around the pitch. And someone said earlier, forgive me, I can't remember. I think it might have been Chris actually, said that it's actually going to be on iPlayer, the Rugby Barrow Liverpool match. So there you go. And again, it should be across the YouTube channels and the FA Player and whatnot. So hopefully we can all see all of the games.
Chris, Leamington's ground has a stand. So therefore, it's already about 5 levels ahead of rugby. It actually has a stand with a roof rather than a shed on one side. That
has a roof? What?
Yeah. There is one side that I'm sure is a bike shed that they've just kind of taken the little, the school bike sheds with those weird, like little mound those little steel post things that you shackle your bike to.
Yeah.
That's the stand at one side. They've just dug the concrete. They've just dug the posts out of the concrete and gone. Yeah, we'll call this a stand.
It's like, yeah, that'll do. That'll do. If it's about 10 in, that'll do. That'll be fine. But
lovely rural Warwickshire. You can hear the banjos just floating across. You can hear Deliverance just floating across. If a local comes up to you and offers to, I don't know, sell you a sheep or something,
then you know where you are. You know where. Yeah, no, it'll be great, and we do wish all teams best of luck, of course, but we do wish for some of the lower teams to do something with it. So just a reminder, here are this weekend's fixtures. Rugby Barrow at Liverpool. But like I said, I think I'll be watching Palace, Newcastle, of course, Portsmouth, Sunderland as well. But yeah, I think Palace can get some good confidence from this one. I hope. But if Wolves Man United is sold out, I think that'll be a cracking one as well.
London City, it doesn't matter which team you support in that. It feels like rooting for the Germans in The Great Escape.
Well, most people support both, don't they? Have you seen all the Foudies videos when they're like, this person supports Arsenal, London City, Australia, England, and
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I didn't mean The Great Escape. I meant Escape to Victory.
You knew there was escape in the title. It's fine. We all agreed with you.
If you support the Germans in Great Escape, it's a little bit darker still, given the way that film ends than Escape to Victory.
But hey, that's Team Chaos. Now, if you do love Team Chaos, as we know you do, then come and follow us. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, love, follow, whatever you need to do. And of course, it's not just us on a Wednesday talking women's football. We talk Premier League on a Tuesday. Well, not us, the team. And Lower League on a Thursday. They're all absolutely cracking. So please make sure you do join in if you want to. And you want more football knowledge. So on X, we are at Absolute Ball Pod. YouTube, Absolute Football Podcast. Twitch is also Absolute Football Podcast. TikTok at Absolute Football Pod. Instagram. That's Instagram at Absolute Football Podcast with an _. Blue Sky. All the cool kids are over on Blue Sky. Please do follow us as well at Absolute Football, and on Facebook, the Absolute Football Podcast. Now then, Chris, happy birthday for the weekend. Please do enjoy. I'm sure. Spending Moor ladies won't mind if you miss their match for that one. And Emily's just said, am I not watching Villa? Yes, I'll have many screens. Don't worry. I'll be keeping up to date with hopefully everyone.
And to answer Emily's question, I'm not watching Everton. I'm presser for Man City game.
Yeah, but Chloe, why not supporting your own team?
Yeah, sorry guys. I'm a fake fan. She's a fake. Pass it on. She's a fake fan.
all those tears at finally getting into Goodison Park and that emotion stuff, it was just a psyop.
I know.
Was.
You know,
I'm
It
going to
was
put that in
just
my
for
bio.
clicks.
I'm putting it in my thing next time. # fake fan. She's a
You can
fake
come
fan.
join me. You can come
Yeah,
join me.
Emma.
Fake fan.
I am only there for the selfies. No, what I'm really there for is the Man City sweetheart.
Yeah. Oh, we need to go together next time. That's what we'll do.
Yes.
And we'll just spend the day at the sweetheart. But apart from that, we digress, of course. Chloe, it's been lovely to see you as usual. Where can people find you if they'd like to see more of you, please?
So I am on all socials. So that's what is socials anymore? Twitter or X, Instagram. There's too many to keep up with now.
Yeah,
I can't do it. So I just keep the same handle for every social media. That's Chloe Bear 529.
Perfect. And Paul, thank you so much as usual. Where can people find more of you, please?
you can find all of me, usually pointing better than this, at Paul W Radio. You just add the funny little bsky.social thing at the end.
Yeah.
You might, if I can get over there on Sunday, you might find me in the away end at Rugby Borough this weekend, such as it is. If I can manage to get, because public transport on a Sunday in this part of the world is not brilliant, to say the least. From Coventry to Rugby, because they're all private school students, so they all have their own cars. But yeah, you can find me there, usually ranting about all sorts of things. Football related.
And we do, and we love it. We love your rants. You can find me at Freya Writes across most things or some variation of the above. Or if you want to see more Aston Villa women in particular, I've got a podcast called Part of the Pride, and that's on Thursdays at 8 o'clock. So come join us if you like. So yeah, thank you so much to everyone who's in the chat. We really do appreciate your input. And to anyone new, thank you so much. And we will be back next Wednesday, as always, at 8:30. So thank you so much. Good evening and